scanner system. So it's essentially you take any assessment that you have and you can scan it, and you can scan it with anything using a camera. It has its data collection tools is made my life so much easier. The scanning obviously makes my life easier, but the data assessment tools is kind of where it was at. On my site, typically, so we were traditional Scantron users. I'm in an older district, and they have a certain way of doing things, which is how teachers kind of roll. This is how I do things. Why do I want to change? This is how I do things. So I had to, once I started playing with it and seeing exactly how it was different, it became pretty clear that this is the route that we should go. So it does a couple of things. It can link your questions to standards, which science teachers will use NGS as standards, so that was really easy to look at standards-based that way. It gives students immediate feedback, so I scan consistently with my phone, so I'm walking around the room and scanning, and the students get that immediate gratification, that immediate feedback, and they now are asking me, like, what's my score? What's my score? How did I do? So the fact that kids are invested in if they learned or not was huge. It gave them the power, and it gave them some motivation to want to do better, and now they ask me for it. Where's my score? Where's my score? It's easy, so you can scan anything using your phone or a GradeCam. You print out all your sheets using your own paper and scale them to size, put them into any sort of anything that you already use as a teacher. And that electric transfer to the gradebook has been life-changing for me. So I use still an interactive notebook, so I've started to use it for homework checks as well. So I put a warm-up as soon as they come into the room, and I go around the room. They have this taped onto their notebook. If they did their work, awesome, scan it. So I go over to my computer while they're still working on their warm-up, hit one button, and their grade is already in my gradebook. Parents can already see if they've done what they were supposed to do immediately before they're even done. It takes less than 5 minutes. So that just trail of paperwork that I no longer have to do makes my life so much easier. Different kinds of assessment choices, so obviously multiple choice. They have a handwriting recognition for more formative assessments. For science, obviously, they draw a lot, they diagram for chemistry. Rubric with capture, rubric. Just an example of kind of what the sheets kind of look like, so it's not just a bubble sheet. They can put it into whatever assessment you have, you can customize it. Yes, it makes my life easier, but that wasn't, and initially that's why when I found it, that's what I wanted to use it for. Like, oh, cool, it's grading. Oh, cool, I can do it with my phone. Oh, cool, they can see immediate feedback. All that stuff, yes, 100% sold. What we started doing with the data it was the power that I found in it. So teachers are great at grading assessments. We're amazing at giving tests. But how often do we actually go back and look at the results? We give the kids their results. We expect them to care. They don't. We should care, and we should be redesigning our instruction based on what our kids are getting and what they're not getting, but we don't do that because it's hard. I remember 15 years ago, I was doing it on a poster board. I would do number 1 through 25, and I would do check marks. Like, that's how painful it was to analyze data. So obviously nobody does that. No one's going to do that. I didn't do that. GradeCam makes the data so easy to look at, there was no excuse anymore. So now we can take those scans and turn it into something that we can actually use so that students can actually learn. So the scores at a glance is the quick nitty-gritty, here's how my kids did overall. We obviously want to see all A's. Sometimes these look better than others. The item analysis is, so it'll show you every single question, how your kids are doing. What I like about this is, this not only tells me, yeah, most of my kids are getting it, but the kids that aren't, what are they getting wrong? Like, why are they missing it? What exactly are they putting? There's so much more power into what they are getting wrong, that now I have an idea of what I need to go fix specifically. Data by student, so it'll show you line by line, so all questions, how students are doing, if they're read down the line, or you can actually look at specific questions that way as well. It's just another view. I have multiple sections, so I can look at my sections by class and say, and this has also been where I kind of tweak my instruction as well. I try something out second period, I can see by the next period if that made a difference. Did that lab activity work? Did that thing that I tweaked, did that extra video that I showed, did it make any impact? I can see that right away. Starting to look at, you can tie each one of your questions into a specific standard. So I can now see, okay, how did my kids do on LS1? How are they doing on LS2? And we're standards based, so now we can track that over time as well and be able to see how they are improving over standards. We use common assessment data. So we have, 5 bio teachers last year doing specific common assessments. So now it becomes really, really clear. We can, I don't only see how my kids are doing in my class, but we can also see, oh, you know what? My kids scored a 65 on that question. Yours got a 92. What did you do? Before that, we have weekly meeting times every week. Were they productive? No. Now are they productive? Yes, because I can go say, hey, Denise, your kid scored amazing. What did you do? She's like, oh, that? I just showed I did a 5-minute ed puzzle, or I did this quick little lab. Then we can actually have real conversations with each other about how to improve our practice. But we couldn't do that before. So now it made that data just actionable. We can have real conversations. We can actually collaborate in our PLCs, which is hard to do. This makes it so much easier. It also tells us, okay, what happened with number 11? That obviously across the board in 5 sections, which is about 1,000 bio students, didn't understand what we were trying to get them to understand. Maybe it was just a bad question. Maybe that question is worded very poorly. Maybe we didn't teach that correctly. What we need to figure out what's going on. Like I said, some of these assessments have been used for years. We wouldn't have known that unless we had this nice color-coded version up here to direct now our instruction. This tells us exactly, dialed in, what we need to do. Much more efficient use of a time rather than an overall, oh, they got a 90% on a 100-choice question. No, this question they didn't get. That's not okay. We need to work on that. This is the Gradebook Transfer that I was saying. This was life-changing. After I introduced GradeCam, we started out with a school pilot. Once teachers saw this function, I got 25 emails that day. My life has changed. I'm never going back. This makes it so easy. It automatically, whatever you scan, you go over to your gradebook and it integrates with any gradebook. That one-touch auto transfer is... You used to have to go, here's your scores, TA, go fill out the scores on your sheet, and then I have to go and manually put them in. This just makes it that much easier. So in what Oak Ridge has done with GradeCam, that's the school site that I'm out in California, we use it for quizzes, obviously, we use it for tests. We use it, like I said, I'll do it for my homework checks, my credit assignments. It will scan, so I use it for all of my short formative assessments as well, where I want them to write something, I want them to draw something. I will use the rubric with capture function. I'll use it for warm-ups, I'll use it for ticket out the doors. Anything that I want to look at and give them immediate feedback, I use GradeCam for. Simple numerical assessments for math, for chemistry, and then the common assessment data. It's a lot. It was powerful once I really started to see what it could do for me. So in my chemistry classes, once we started looking at the assessment data from the year before that we now had, that again, they've had for over 10 years and never really looked at, we started to make some real changes in our teaching. So the materials unit exam is like the foundational chemistry stuff. It's like, what's a formula? How do you put formulas together? Like all the basics. So it's the beginning of the year. And their score initially was a 71, 72. That's not going to go well. That's not great. That's their foundation, and they're scoring just basic. That's not going to work well. So we now had the data that we know we needed to do something. Time to switch it up. So we did. Based on the information that we got from just those scans, we revised our scope and sequence. We did additional formative assessments. We started to do retakes for mastery. We started to do the work that we are good at as teachers because GradeCam did the hard part and did the analysis for us. So now I had the time to actually go do what I'm good at, what I need to do. So it looked like here's all the different stuff that we ended up doing based on the data that we got from GradeCam. So did it work? Now I want to see. We want that gratification. Did all of the time that we put into making learning more accessible and better, did it work? Yeah, it did. So we went from about low 70s to high 70s early. So I'm just gonna, that's a 10% improvement for you. I'm gonna round up because that's what I wanna do. A 10% improvement on the summative assessment, that's huge. That's a giant jump. That's not something to sniff at. That was huge. In one learning target alone, GradeCam will also break it down, and it's color-coded how they do. As you see from the previous year, a lot of red, which means I had a lot of far below basics, and below basics on a foundational learning target to above basic and advanced. That to me right there means that the work we did based on the data that was already done for us worked. It was beautiful. In another unit exam, here's organic chemistry. Same thing, initial scores are around 75. They jumped to almost 85. And we saw that for every unit test that we did. We just did a couple of tweaks in our curriculum, our scope and sequence, seeing if it worked, and seeing if it worked was so easy because it was color-coded for us. We saw improvement across the board in every single unit exam that we did. So here's another learning target. Went from, again, far below basic, to above and advanced, which was huge. So of course we did what every teacher does. We pat ourselves on the back and we high-fived each other. And it was really nice knowing that the work that we did based on the information that was color-coded for us and those real conversations that we had with each other about how do we get students to learn was made so easy. We were ecstatic. And guess what we're doing again? The same thing, because we don't just stop. We as educators are constantly trying to improve. And GradeCam made that, what we were doing wrong, so easy to see. Not that we're doing wrong, but it could be tweaked, obviously. So students started obviously improving. They were learning. We were revising our instruction, and this made it easy to do that. We weren't doing that before. Any questions?